Oh,
Hi friends, welcome to this week's class of Dead Funny University. I am your host and fellow student Kelsey. This week is the 9th episode in our Zelda semester. This is where we are wrapping up Ocarina of Time, and who knows what's going to happen next? Chris and I haven't decided, so you don't know either. And to teach us this semester is Chris, who you guys know and love as our resident major Zelda fan. I think you are actually the biggest fan of Zelda on the whole channel, right?
On the channel, yes.
Yes. Not in the world. I'm not giving you that.
Out of my friend group, no. But on the channel, yes, that's fair. I don't... Oh, well, you know what? JoJo. JoJo might be a contender.
You think so?
JoJo is a hardcore Nintendo fan. And that's where Zelda lives and breathes. I mean, look at JoJo. I could see JoJo getting a Zelda tattoo. I could see that. Not. I don't know JoJo anywhere near as a person like Kelsey does. Let me put that out there. I'm saying JoJo looks like the kind of guy with his Nintendo love that if he had to get a tattoo, I could see him getting something Zelda related. I'll put it that way.
Oh my God. When we see him on the podcast in a couple days, we have to ask him if he would ever get a tattoo. My reaction, what I think JoJo would do is go, no, that's painful. Why would I do that? And then if he did, what he would get, because I wonder if Zelda would be up there. I imagine it would have to be video game related in some way, or just complete irony, just something that is so ironic. Have to be one of those two, I think.
Yeah, I actually felt bad for him on the last podcast because it was right before we started. And I was going to bring it up on there because I was talking to him about it and I forgot because he said it was cool. But you know how usually I like to show off whatever my new cool statue or whatever it is whenever we all get together. I'm like, oh, look at this. It's so awesome. And so he was showing me this little thing that he got, and he was so proud of it. He's like, yeah, I mean, it was like $70. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, my Nana key just came in, and it was, $400. And he was like, and here I thought I was cool on something that was $70. I wasn't trying to flex, man. I was just really excited about it. It's all up there. It's all beautiful. I was super pumped.
Jeez. 400. Oh my God. My heart, my whole body cringes. I'm trying to think if I've spent $400 on any other rocks that I have. Non-gemstone.
Well, it's actually funny. I was actually just talking to my family about this, and I took a picture of my my shelving unit, and just pointing out the statues that I have now. What was the total on that? Oh, this is going to make Kelsey just leave. Honestly.
Oh, I'm going to pass out. This is going to be a real short Dead Funny University, everybody, because I'm just going to go apoplectic.
So my original Cloud's $375. Red 13 was actually $375, not $400. Cloud Advent Children $350, Vincent $200, and Barrett $150. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statues still coming. Each one of those are $150 a piece.
You've spent over $1,000 just on the ones you already have.
Correct. That is correct. 100%.
Ow. How am I? Secondhand embarrassment?
To be fair,
I'm getting secondhand digestion problems.
To be fair, for all the viewers out at home who are wanting to do their own collections, I am a person who makes sure all my bills are paid on time. And it's money at the end of the month that comes from commissions that I'm like, this is extra money. Everybody's taken care of. Food's in the house. Bills are paid. I've got some spending money. I get spoiled, she gets spoiled, baby gets spoiled. We're all good to go.
I promise you, he's a good partner and father. And to anybody that has ever said otherwise, fuck you. All right, there we go. That's the fuck you that we're allowed.
She's justified. Yeah,
I am so pissed off when I heard about that. I can tease him about being a bad dad because I know he's a good dad. Fuck off.
Yeah. She's justified in that one. That's fair. That is fair. But enough about my expensive habit that I have. So.
And me telling community members to fuck off. I should probably... We're going to see if that stays in the episode, everybody. That might get cut. So I believe we wrapped up the last episode, remind me if I'm wrong here, with all of the temples. We'd gone through all of the temples, and that's where we'd left off. Is that correct?
Yep, we were heading to fight Ganon.
That's right. Correct. We're on our way. To the big bad.
Go fight Ganondorf.
We've got Zelda. We've got a bunch of gemstones. And I think that's where we're at, right?
That is exactly where we're at. Yep, you got
What's happening next?
It's almost like someone went and listened to the last episode before we started recording. I know I did.
I did not. That was straight off of memory.
What? Wow. Okay, I'm impressed.
I'm gonna
I
Z-snap
definitely
here.
did.
Like, I know what the fuck I'm doing.
I definitely went to the last 10 minutes and I was like, all right, Chris, teach me. What did we go over? It's been a minute. Oh, man. That's great. Anyways, so we were on our way to go attack Ganondorf. The fight with Ganondorf actually has to happen now. It's actually funny. So this fight gave me my favorite art piece ever. This is like legit. This is Nintendo's art piece of Link, the battle between Link and Ganon, which I think looks so amazing. But gave me my favorite art piece ever. But man, was it the dumbest battle in the world of video games. It was so stupid. He flies up in the air and the floor falls out below him.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots a ball of light at you is what it looks like, but it's like an energy blast. And I kid you not, the goal is to play ping pong until you win.
I'm sorry, what?
You slash at it with your sword to hit it back, and he hits it back, and you hit it back, and he hits it back, and you hit it back, and you have to do that until you win 3 times. 3 times. Greatest game of all time. Literally by so many people. Not me, because I think Final Fantasy VII. Second greatest game of all time. By so many people. And that was the actual boss fight. Was ping-ponging back a ball of energy between you and the boss. Yep.
Oh, God. Was it bouncing off of, like, walls and stuff like that? No. Okay.
Straight back and forth. Straight back and forth. Now, there was a cheat. For those of you who have not played this game and plan on possibly picking it up, because, once again, it was one of the games to get rated 10 out of 10 by every gaming source in the world. If you go to that battle, so in Zelda, there's these things called fairies. We haven't really talked about them that much. Mainly because they're in every game, and I was going to bring them up when they're relevant, and I guess they're relevant, honestly, anytime. But basically, there's this person called the Great Fairy. Huge, huge lady. And
very attractive in white?
What?
Is she very attractive in white?
And white or in white?
And white.
And white. Well, I don't know if I'd say she's attractive, but she's definitely white. Well, in the later games, there's different fairies that have different actual races, which was pretty cool. But in this game, she was white, and I wouldn't say she was attractive. She's pretty ugly. But that's mainly probably because of the graphics. So, that being said, it's actually a funny story since you brought that up. My dad, whenever he was playing this game and him and my mom were first together, this is before I was around, my mom's younger sister, she would be there as a kid whenever, they would, like be on dates or something. He would always play this game, Zelda. And it was funny because whenever the Great Fairy would pop up, my dad would actually go up to the screen and act like he was kissing her. And so she would go run and tell my mom that my dad was cheating on her with this lady in the TV. And my mom had no idea what the hell it was that she was talking about. So it's funny that you brought that up. Anyways, so
all parts of that are weird.
Right? So some of the Great Fairy, basically all she does is just like she heals you. In some games she gives you like another heart piece, because that's how Zelda's thing is like basically you can get, like, it's always enforced, but you get a piece of a heart. Once you get a full heart container, you get a whole nother basically heart. Depending on the enemy's strength, they take various levels of heart away from you. Eating food, resting, stuff like that, depending on the game that you're playing, is how you replenish that. Fairies were an easy way to do that. And what I mean by that is that you could find some small fairies out in the wilderness somewhere, and if you had an empty glass bottle, you could capture them in this bottle, which sounds terrible.
Like slavery.
I don't know how they breathe, yeah. And then you would let them out whenever you were really low, and they would heal you fully and then disappear.
Why? Why would they do that? I feel like they would curse you, make you impotent, and then fly away. Like, they'd be like, your life's gonna suck now. Like, jeez.
Don't know. But that's what it was for. But how this all ties together is that if you go and play this game and you get to that final boss fight, Link swinging the empty jar at nothing is actually faster than you hitting that energy ball with your sword. So people wouldn't even use the sword to hit the energy ball. They would just use the glass jar because it was faster. I'm also one of those people. I would use the glass jar because it was faster, and you have like a very small percentage chance to actually get hit by the ball versus like using the sword, sometimes it just wouldn't come out fast enough because, just animation wise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty interesting. But once it would hit him, he would fall, and then you'd go up and you'd hit him a couple times and he'd fly back up, so on and so forth, until you won, right? So this is where technically the first timeline splits off. We haven't got to where the other two become a thing, but this is where the first one deviates. Mm-hmm. And by that is that this is where Ganon has a chance to win and kill Link. So this is where the first timeline splits off, which is called the hero time is defeated, timeline unfolds. So it's called the decline of the hero or something like that, I think. I don't remember what these timelines are called. I gotta go back to the page. Give me a second here. Yeah, this was the heroes defeated, the decline of Hyrule, and the last hero. That's the first timeline that splits off at that point. The other two split off a little bit further down. So we're going to talk about those because I've actually decided, I'm not going to say the next DFU because, as Kelsey pointed out there, we don't know yet. Mm-hmm. But the next time we do a Zelda DFU, we are going to actually go to the Majora's Mask, the next game, which is the child era. And that is whenever Zelda reverses time, which we've already talked about. So in order for that timeline to happen, basically, after you beat Ganon and Link strikes him down, well, Ganondorf, I should say, because I keep saying Ganon, and the reason why I'm messing it up is because, well, you're now about to fight Ganon. So you fight Ganondorf and you beat him down. Well, Ganondorf is known as the King of Thieves, and being the King of Thieves, which how that has anything to do with anything. He's the last little bit of his own energy. Once again, don't know why they brought up the King of Thieves thing, but used the last little bit of his own energy to transform into the demon known as Ganon. That is the final and last fight of Ocarina of Time. You have to fight this big beast, take him down, and then you slay Ganon for the final time, depending on which timeline that you're referring to. So, or I guess store him away. So you beat him here. You end the game, which once again, I've got some pretty cool artwork of that one too. I forgot. But anyway, so you beat him here and you go to end the game. So this is where the other two timelines happen. So the other two timelines we have is one, Zelda feels bad for Link and reverses his time 7 years before to back when he was a kid, but still somehow keeping Hyrule safe the way it's supposed to be. And then allowing him to go do what he wants to do, which starts the child era, a.k.a. moving on to where he goes to Tamriel, which is where we have Majora's Mask game unfold. One of our first and almost only times ever actually going away from Hyrule. Or we have the other timeline, which is where the hero wins, and we kind of move on to the new vision of Hyrule and through, in my opinion, what I call the more cartoony era, because that's when we had a lot more of the 3DS games and 2DS games. A lot of the handhelds, they were really cartoony and stuff like that. I know I showed you like the evolutions of Link and stuff, so more like Minish Cap Link is where a lot of that stuff even comes into play. Obviously, Minish Cap was way before that, but that kind of artistic style. Even though that artistic style didn't actually start until Wind Waker, which is, I think, the first game on that timeline. Yeah, the first game on that timeline. So, like I said, it just really depends really on where you want to move in the timelines when you're playing these games or looking through material. Because like I said, I want to say the left timeline is a lot more of like comics and stuff in the background, not actually games. Yeah, a lot of that more is that stuff versus the actual games of the other two timelines. So basically, like I said, you kill Ganon, all that fun stuff. We take him down, and then Zelda actually seals him away into the Master Sword. You stick the Master Sword into the Temple of Time, shutting Ganon completely off from everything else. Then she goes back and reverses the time 7 years, because once again, that's the timeline that we're going to go with, which leads Link right back to rushing to the courtyard, where Zelda is obviously checking over Ganon just like the first time he found her. But basically, they're able to prevent all his actions from happening because we already know what happened. And that's how that timeline stays safe, and Link is able to go do other things.
Okay. So Ganon is now in the Master Sword in the Temple of Time.
Correct.
And we still have Vati sealed away with the
Mhm.
Picori sword, and I can't
Correct.
remember where. Can you remind me?
That is back at a it's like a some kind of like off forest type place that only existed for that reason, and so therefore it's not.
It's not like on a map. You can't.
Yeah,
Nobody else
it's
is
not
going to
like
get
on
there.
a map that you can't go to. No,
Okay.
we do revisit that area, but
Mhm.
like that's at the end of this specific timeline that we're going to go into,
Oh,
the
okay.
child era.
Okay,
So
got
we
it.
will revisit that. But Vati doesn't actually like exist in any other timeline after this. So the
Okay.
other two timelines, he is not a thing.
He's not a thing anymore. Okay,
I'm
because
pretty
of where
sure.
he was located.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct the mundo.
Now that's something that is a convenient plot feature, and it's possible at any point with any new Zelda game that they could bring Vati back, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And they probably will at some point because he's a good bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
And he was at the top. So as far as the timeline goes, so he's up here. So they really could bring him back at any point in any
Mhm.
timeline if they really wanted to. Now,
Because
like I
he
said, they did bring him back once, and that's at the end of the timeline that we're going to do.
Okay.
But the other timelines, he hasn't been back yet.
Okay. Great. So where do we go from here? Ganon is in the sword in the Temple of Time, and Link has been sent back, and that starts the whole child era. But what did you want to talk about? Because it sounds like to go into any of that, we would have to go into the Majora's Mask, which is not where we want to go
Right.
yet.
Not where we want to go yet. That will be the next Zelda episode. Not next DFU, next Zelda episode.
Maybe.
So, maybe. Wait, what do you mean? Next Zelda episode, not the next DFU. Next
The
DFU is
next
maybe,
DFU
right?
may be Zelda. We haven't decided
I
yet.
know. That's why the maybe was there. Oh my God. Okay. You're confusing me. Anyways, so since we're done with Ocarina of Time and we get to kind of the time split, this is where I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the top fan theories that are out there and just kind of get your mind behind them. So one of them that you kind of already pointed out, there's actually two of them, and one of them you somewhat pointed out, but it was something that was more of aggravation than anything else. And it's actually kind of funny that you brought it up, but it was really hard for me to keep my composure and not talk about it at the time.
Uh-huh.
We'll say that one. But the first one is that Malin's dad and uncle are actually Mario and Luigi after they retire. That is like one of the biggest theories out there, is that that's who that is. Obviously, there's nothing to prove this one. A lot of these theories, there's not too much proof, but some of them are actually very interesting to think about. The other one, which I'm wearing the shirt, but unfortunately doesn't have the crest. So the shield that you hated so much because it had the triangle down there,
Yeah.
that is a very popular fan theory that it's not a Triforce. I can't remember the name of it. A Tetraforce. That's a Tetraforce.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that the fourth piece has always been missing, and only the Hyrule Royal knew about the fourth piece. And that's the one thing they've been able to keep a secret this entire time, of no one being able to find it.
God, I would love that so much. That would be so fantastic. I would feel vindicated. I would feel complete.
You would.
I would love that.
That's why when you brought it up, I was like, fuck, oh my God, dude, she's going to love it when I tell her about this theory.
You're absolutely right.
So another one of the cool ones was always something around Link's mom and kind of like her actual origins, if you will.
Mhm.
Because what we know so far is that she rode through Castletown on a horse with Link, right? So she went all the way across the field to hit to the Lost Woods to drop him off at the Great Deku Tree. At that time, there was a great war going on in that field. So she rode through this war with a baby to drop him off at a tree all the way away from where she was at. That's what we know. We don't know anything else. Now, the speculation is that there's a red herring. So there's two. Well, technically three, but we'll go with the first one, which is Castletown, right? So let's say that that's true. If that's true, then it leads to the two speculations here. One, well, or two things that make up the speculation. One, Link's dad. We have no idea who that is. And two, Zelda's mother. You never see a queen this entire game. So the first theory is that Link and Zelda are actually brother and sister. Mm-hmm. You don't see Link's dad, and you don't hear about Zelda's mom. it would make sense that if they knew the fall of Hyrule was going to happen, and that they knew because they are royal about the story about Zelda and Link, that she would take Link and they would keep Zelda. That makes some sense. Sometimes where it doesn't make sense is the fact that they have all these like trained guards and this whole army and stuff, that wouldn't Link be safer off in Castletown versus
Unless
in
they
the
had a
middle of the woods.
reason to believe that he wouldn't be.
Exactly.
And that would be
Exactly.
interesting.
So that's one of those. The other two that spin off of that is that that the red herring is actually Castletown. That she actually wasn't part of Castletown. That's just to make Ganon think that that's where Link is from, is royalty. Which the only thing that I can think of is that that's why he went there, was because he thought he could get both Triforce pieces if he went there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that theory kind of goes. It's more that she was actually, and this theory gets debunked right out the gate, but it's just an interesting one to think about, that she was actually from Lon Lon Ranch, and the chick that is in love with Link, the little redheaded girl Marlin, she is actually his sister. But where that gets debunked is that her dad has black hair, and she has red hair, and that's that's a
That's a
really
recessive trait.
Recessive trait. There you go. That Link's mom had to have been blonde, so that way Link could end up blonde. But then where would she get the red, or vice versa? If she was red and she got red, then Link wouldn't be blonde. So it's like that one automatically gets thrown out, right? The one that spawns off of that is that Link's dad and mom, because it's always come back to Link's dad being a knight of some sort. But Link's dad and mom actually lived in the Forest Temple, because it actually looks a lot more like kind of what a knight's house would look like a royal knight. And that's why she took him to the Great Tiku Tree, because that was the closest she could get. And that when she died, her spirit actually kind of created the tree house that Link lives in. And that she basically is the tree house herself, still like mothering over her child.
Whew. That's a beautiful one, but that one is kind of hard for obvious
it is,
reasons.
But then you think about the Deku Tree.
I mean,
and the
yeah,
fact that
fair
he's
point.
like an actual living, thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's
so magic,
those are always very interesting to me. So
I like that one.
One that I find very interesting, just because the movie itself was so good, but you've seen Inception, right?
Yes.
That's what a lot of people believe this is, that it's actually Link waking up from dream to dream to dream, because the start of every Zelda game is Link waking up every time, without fail. Every single time the game starts with him waking up. So they think that it's him waking up out of a dream, and that's the next game is that dream, and then out of that dream into the next game. I was like, wouldn't the grand fuck you to the Zelda fans be like the last game is like some kind of Link in modern day time just working a fucking desk job?
Yeah. That's exactly where my brain went to.
Stories.
Also, I feel like that theory has a very clear date on when it arrived and when it gained a following.
It's a little bit.
That one has not been around since the first Zelda game.
Right. And so to lead off of that, so to go into the timeline that we're not going to, which is, more where Ganon is sealed and Link wins and isn't turned back, is that Link and Marlin fell in love when they were kids. And then he went away for 7 years, obviously, with, pulling out the sword. Mm-hmm. That whenever he came back, all hell broke loose. Ganon took over all of Hyrule and stuff like that, that he was actually capturing prisoners, because we did see that there were some people who were captured by him, that she was one of them. Mm. And the only reason why she remembered Link was because Epona remembered Link, and he had that song to play that she taught him when he was a kid. So when he played that song and had Epona, she saw Link and Epona, and Link remembered her because of her red hair. So then they end up settling down and starting a family, and his kid is the one that moves on to become, as I told you, in Twilight Princess, where you fight that skeleton before you. A lot of people think that that's one of the older Links. That's who they think that is, the Ocarina of Time Link. That he's actually teaching his son, that Link actually ended up just going and becoming the Ocarina of Time Link, that he ended up going and joining the army like his father before him, and then dying in battle. Mm-hmm. And that he's there to teach the next hero of time, what it is that he knew as far as combat was concerned before he started his own journey, which I thought was a pretty cool little timeline there. If that's true, it doesn't really match up too much, but it does a little bit. But I don't know.
But I still like it. Like it feel like all of these feel good for the most part. The only one that doesn't feel good is that Mario and Luigi after retirement are in this game. That I hate.
Yeah, that one's a weird one for sure. But there's a lot of really good fan theories out there. There's some of them I might pick up and we might throw in from time to time just to kind of talk about them. Some of them I can't tell you because a lot of the best ones are the things that happen with Majora's Mask. Like I heard one, I want to say it was like last week, and it was my first time hearing it. And I won't give too much away. I honestly just won't give anything away because you have no idea what the game's about. But one of the people think that the game was directly built upon the 5 stages of grief. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, interesting.
And as we talk about the game, maybe you can kind of point those out as you go. Maybe. We'll see. Because like knowing the game versus just being told the game and trying to point it out, it might be hard. But yeah, it's actually very interesting whenever you like hear the theory and the explanation as to why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty cool.
I will keep my eye out for that. That's really interesting. I have that in my notes as like bolded in its own section, so that way hopefully I won't forget it because it seems really neat.
I would love for that to be like on its own page. You just wake up on, or like Scott walks by and just sees this open up, just like the 5 stages of grief, and he's like, Kelsey?
What the fuck is going on with you? Are you okay? I know I said I didn't want a dog, but I didn't think it'd send you into this spiral.
Oh man. Good Lord, that's funny.
Do you have any others for me?
No, that's it. Without doing spoilers, that's it. Yeah, that's all I can do. It's all the good top ones that a lot of people are going into. Although one cool little one I guess I could throw that we didn't really talk about because it was more of an NPC. But whenever we were doing the whole graveyard thing, and that's how you went to that one temple that I was telling you about, the Shadow Temple, there's actually a little kid there whenever you're a kid, and he's just walking around the graveyard talking about, how cool things are, da-da-da-da-da. Whenever you grow up, the kid is no longer there, but there is this one really weird guy in the corner who knows your name and says he can read minds, and a lot of people speculate that that's that kid.
Mm-hmm. All grown up.
Yeah, you can't see him because he's all cloaked and everything, but he literally says like your name Link, and he's all like, oh, I can read minds, don't worry about it, and stuff like that. So everybody pretty much thinks that that's him. But yeah.
I was real worried when you're like, when you go back, he's not there, and I'm like, but there's a fresh gravestone. I was like, God, I don't want to hear this. Like, okay, like I will take creepy guy in the corner saying he can read minds over that. Like, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's not one that I really care about, but it was just something that popped up whenever I was going through certain ones, and they're like, "Oh yeah, a lot of people talk about this one." I was like, "Okay,
okay, great, fabulous."
The kid that I literally forgot existed whenever I pulled out the sword, for sure. And I totally cared about what happened to him 7 years later.
So,
you just got told the best game of all time, rated by almost everybody. It's got a 10 out of 10 back whenever that seemed to be impossible. 10 out of 10. This is literally anybody that you talk to that's a Zelda fan, there is no way they throw shade at this game. I've never met a Zelda fan that didn't say Ocarina was the best out of the series, but possibly just wasn't their favorite. Have not. It hasn't happened.
And the reason for that is because the game design was well done, because
the game design was well done.
The story was engaging.
The music, everything about it. They thought it was one of the best games. Like this, in everybody else's opinion, the kind of game style that Zelda is, this is what put Zelda 1 on the map and set it up for what it's supposed to be. Because you got to remember, even though I told you the story of the Minish Cap and the Four Swords and Skyward Sword, those actually did not come out first. They just got put in the storyline first. Mm-hmm. Those were way later. Ocarina of Time is very high up there to like one of the first Zelda games coming out. Okay. So it's not the first, but one of it is probably, I want to say top 5, maybe.
And
I don't have it in front of me.
One of the things that I love about the Dead Funny University, for not only my purposes, but for the audience that watches, is if you are interested, but you don't know how interested you want to be, you don't necessarily have to give up 40 hours of your life to go play one of these games. But then we
Right.
reach a moment like this, where we're at the end of the greatest game of all time.
Mhm.
And what makes me sad is I have some flavor of why that's there, but I don't have the passion for it. If I went to a group of people that were all really into Zelda, I could carry a conversation and ask questions, but I couldn't share in that passion with them. And so
Right.
this is where I'd say the Dead Funny University falls off, is if you hit the end of this and you're like, "Huh, I mean, I kind of want to check it out because I don't know why this is the greatest game of all time." That's okay. This whole episode, this whole semester is not meant to replace this game because I'm not
No.
that fucking full of myself. Thank you very much. um, but it is meant to give you information if you want to jump into the story, but you don't want to play, you want to spend all the hours to get everything before it. Hey, we did that for you. But if you're hitting this episode and you're like, I I I guess I want more than this, then go play the game. And then in the comments below, just be like, you know what? That is the way I felt. I'm going to go buy and play that game. And then come back and let us know what you think. And especially feel
Yep.
free to tell me to play it because I haven't done so. And right now, I don't know that I'm going to. Not because you did a bad job explaining, but because I have so many games that I need to finish. And this one, I don't think has modern graphics. Are we still in Polygon land?
Does it? Actually, this one did get remade, but it was on a handheld system and it was 3D. It was
Ah.
remade with 3D graphics. So there is a newer version out there. And one thing to kind of add on to that too is like when this game first came out, it was one of those things where it was like it was amazing because it was the first of its kind for that time.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this game continues to stand out is how brilliantly things were placed because Nintendo always knew they wanted to do something deeper with this story,
Yeah.
but be able to not destroy older games
Mm-hmm.
to continue the new ones. So as we go down these timelines and you see how this time split reaches and how each one had its own place organically, that's where the love of this one comes even more because without this one, the other ones literally would not make sense. And that's where the staple of this one is. So once
Mm-hmm.
this is all said and done, a lot of people will probably get a little bit more of an appreciation for the Ocarina of Time. But I think kind of to add on to what you were saying, it's not even just so much as just getting to somewhat know the story. But for instance, Kelsey has said this multiple times on podcasts and stuff like that, being new to gaming culture, memes and stuff she doesn't get, to the point where she was able to send me a Zelda meme the other day that I hadn't seen. She's like, oh my God, I fucking get this reference. Stuff like that is a real good reason on why the DFU is here.
Mm-hmm.
You might not want to be completely involved, but whenever people say you're in a group message with friends and they're just sending like all this stuff and like, you know, maybe they're making fun of Navi and they're like, hey, listen. You're like, what the fuck does that mean? Now you know. Now you know.
And if they text it to you 10,000 times, it's both funny and terrible.
Yeah. But now you know.
Yep, indeed. Well, that's going to do it for our 9th class on Zelda. And the next DFU that comes out 2 weeks from when this one does, we don't know what that's going to be yet. That might be the Majora's Mask. We might continue with the child era of Zelda. Or we might jump into my favorite game of all time, Mass Effect. And that is up to us, but you guys still have the chance to influence what we choose. Please feel free to throw in the comments below whether you'd like us to take a break from Zelda and jump into the Mass Effect series for the sole purpose of educating Chris and maybe getting him to buy the remake that's coming out early this year. I'm very excited. I am losing my mind. Scott and I have talked about it probably 15 times.
I love it whenever there's couples that have that kind of passion aspect of like a specific game. It's just so fucking awesome. That's cool to me. I like that.
It's wonderful until we both want to play the same game. And when that comes out, we are going to have a hard time because what's probably going to happen is we're probably going to agree, like, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch the opening scenes together on our nice TV, and then we're going to have to figure out who gets to play it first. And that's going to be a fight. That's not going to be and I want to be clear, it's going to be a cordial conversation between me and my husband, but we are going to be on opposite sides because he's going to maintain him and I'm going to maintain me.
Is it not going to release on PC?
It
And
might
would
release
you
on
buy
PC.
it if it released on PC?
That's all part of the conversation. I don't know. I'd rather buy it for
Yeah.
console because then we only have to buy one copy and we can both enjoy it. And also, my computer is nowhere near our very nice 4K TV, and his is, so that would be unfair as well.
That's fair.
So
fair.
it's,
I know the
it's a
layout of your
conversation.
house too, so yeah. It's just your computer would run it better than your system ever would.
Mhm.
But I understand what you mean by the LCD of the actual screen. Okay.
Yeah, I have the monitors that I have are crappy monitors that were like bought a long time ago for the sole purpose of being high contrast monitors so I could look at documents on them, because back at the time we bought this, I was a tax accountant. I was the most exciting thing in the world, everybody. I know, hold on to your giblets. I was a tax accountant. But
Fucking giblets, Jesus Christ.
I can't believe I said that.
I can't take you sometimes. I really can't. Like, oh, I missed you while you were gone. And now I'm regretting missing that. So
Now you're like, she says shit like this and I'm on camera. I can't even react.
oh,
But they won't do the game justice. And so what's
that's
the
fair.
point? So, well, it'll be a conversation. So, anyways, back to the non-giblet part of our conversation. If you have any thoughts, please throw them in the comments below. If you reach out to us individually, we may not remember to bring them up in the conversations that we'll have with each other where we plan what's going to come next. So please put them in the comments so we can find them easily, and we won't guarantee to do what you say you're going to do, what you want us to do, but we will guarantee to consider it. What are you going to say?
She's just going to keep saying please and be nice about it. I'm doing a call to action. There are people who have messaged me individually about what they want to see happen with DFU. Fucking comment. Put it in the fucking comments. You're watching this video now. I know you are. Comment.
Please.
Pause the video, scroll the fuck down, and put it in the comments, and then I'll prove it. All right? That's how you'll get your message to Kelsey. Don't go through me to get to Kelsey. Put in the fucking comment section, and I'll prove it. You know who I'm talking to. All right? Look at, put it in the fucking comments. All right? All right. I said my piece.
And if you have any other thoughts, you're welcome to throw them in the comments below. We also have Twitter or Twitch links below for the games that the people on our cast play, and we would love to come and interact with you there. And we also have Twitter, and we're willing to interact with you there. So please come and find us, and we will hang out with you. But we will see you in the next episode of Dead Funny University. Bye, friends.